You're probably familiar with gridiron football, a contact sport played with helmets, shoulder pads, and jerseys like the one I'm wearing right now. Most people think of gridiron football as being an American invention, but did you know that the Canadian version is actually even older? Today, we're going to learn how to play football the Canadian way. In both versions of football, the goal is the same. Each team attempts to move down the field towards their opponent's end zone. Getting the ball in the end zone is a touchdown worth 6 points, and kicking through the uprights is a field goal worth 3 points. However, there's some key differences in the Canadian game. In American football, you get 4 downs or chances to move the ball 10 yards, but in Canadian football, you only get 3. A Canadian football field is both longer and wider, and the end zones are 20 yards deep instead of 10. In Canadian football, a ball that's kicked into the end zone and not returned is worth 1 point for the kicking team, called a rouge. There's a lot of unique aspects to Canadian football, and who better to ask about them than a man who covered the Laurier Golden Hawks Canadian football team for the school newspaper back in university. Oh, and he also just happens to be my dad. Let's talk a little bit about how did you get involved with covering sports for the newspaper?
I was noticing that a lot of the sports quizzes had like an unbelievable amount of American content, and that was all. So I thought that was very disingenuous at a Canadian university. So I sent a letter to the editor, and she said, I don't have anybody to do the sports quiz for next year since you're complaining. Maybe you would like to do that. So that's what happened. I ended up doing that.
Why do you think that it's important to keep Canadian football kind of at the forefront of our sports culture and Canadian tradition?
If you don't have anything or very few things that are your own, and you're only involved with a country, then at what point do you say, do we really have a country anymore?
Canadian football is part of our tradition. It's part of our roots, and it's part of our identity. So whether you want to play or just watch, give Canadian football a try. I'm David Stacey, and this has been O Canada.